Hi, everyone. Welcome to week 6. This week, we're focusing on community engaged recruitment. The overview for this brief lecture is first, I'm going to talk to you briefly about NIH recruitment standards, which most of you are familiar with, and there's plenty of information online, but I'm going to briefly talk about those. Then, the importance of trust in the recruitment process, a little bit on themes of successful recruitment strategies. We gave you some reading on successful strategies, and there's plenty of data out there for you to tap into. The reading we gave you was really just to give you a taste of the information out there on this topic. And then I want to talk with you briefly about Research Match, which is a new tool developed by CTSAs for recruiting people and also informing people about research. This is really one of the innovations in this age chart or graph here, how we vary by gender at different age groups. All right. So, just briefly, the NIH recruitment standards. There are standards for increasing the diversity of the pool of people that you're recruiting. Clearly, our country has a long history of bias and focusing on one particular group for recruitment. It was mainly male, mainly ethnically white males, and so over time we've been trying to do a better job. The Civil Rights Act, which changed so much of our country, also changed how we conduct clinical research. And so the Civil Rights Act brought with it certain standards for assessing how government does business. So when government gives out money, the OMB, the Office of Management and Budget, which is part of the executive branch of government, and that's the branch that the president controls, that office assesses whether or not government funds are being doled out in an egalitarian way or in a way that's equitable to the various populations that make up our country. And this all ties into why NIH has standards for recruiting different types of people. So we don't want government funds to be used for any discriminatory purposes. So when you go out and recruit, we want to make sure that you're recruiting all types of people, regardless of how they look, what income they have, what gender they are, and so on. All right. So that's the goal. The general goal of the recruitment standards is to make sure you're recruiting a group that's reflective of the people of our country and that isn't somehow biased by whatever your biases might be. All right, so the standards are focused on inclusion. When you look at training programs, they tend to focus on this notion of being underrepresented, and this can vary depending on the particular goal of the training program you're looking at. Underrepresented doesn't mean the same thing all the time. It's not one definition, and you can imagine that underrepresented can change over time, and that's definitely true, and it's already happened before. So, but generally, the groups we think about are groups that are disabled, um, ethnic minorities, and again, certain people are not minorities in certain fields. So you can't assume that any non-white person is going to be a minority for whatever grant you're writing. That may not actually be the case. Some minority groups are actually overrepresented in certain areas of research. So you have to make sure that you're covering all types of groups and that you're clear about who's truly underrepresented. In research studies, most of the focus is on recruiting women and ethnic minorities. But there are times when you have to think about other types of groups that aren't being represented appropriately in your study, and you have to account for those groups. And NIH has certain standards, certain forms you have to fill out with your grants. You have to do this pretty much for all of your grants. You may have to do this for some private foundation grants or grants from other sources, and even sometimes for contracts, you may have to do this. All right. Trust is obviously extremely important in the recruitment process. It's based on a number of factors. Clearly, history. History is one that we talk about quite a bit when we're talking about how communities view clinical research and whether or not they want to participate in research. But there are other factors too, like some communities have been over researched. For example, a number of American Indian communities are very wary of research because they've just been studied so much. Um, There are a variety of strategies for building trust. Clearly, open communication is really the basic strategy. So you listen to the community and try to figure out what people need and what they're looking for. You try to devise a recruitment strategy that's friendly to their needs. You adjust your strategy as necessary. When you're developing your research project, it should be as transparent as possible. It should be as equitable as possible so that you share resources, and that means financial resources in some cases with your community partners, and obviously with participants, if that makes sense for your project, and so on. So, and we gave you some reading that covers trust issues, and there's tons of literature on trust. Just briefly, I just wanted to mention that conflicts come up when you're recruiting people. You're dealing with people, so there are going to be lots of people issues, and so conflicts will arise. It's always best to address those up front and with as much respect for the communities you're dealing with as possible. And then I just wanted to point out that there's a lot that researchers can learn from industry. Take any good company like Whole Foods, for example, and look at how they treat customers, how they listen to customers, how they seek feedback and they respond to feedback, and you'll learn quickly what you should be doing as a researcher when you're interacting with research participants because they essentially are your customers. All right. There are a variety of successful recruitment strategies that are targeted to different groups. There's plenty of research out there on what needs to be done. I suggest you pay attention to some of the key themes, and one theme is to use an evidence based approach. Another theme is to learn from those who are successful, and that's tied into the evidence-based approach. But you can even learn from your peers locally. So if you're at Children's National Medical Center, you can look around and try to meet people who've actually been really successful at recruiting large numbers of people into research studies, and talk with them. Sit down and have a meeting with them, have lunch with them, and figure out what strategies they use. Because they're often um, um, local factors that matter, and there are local strategies that are really catered to where you are and don't apply to any other region. And the only way you can learn those is by talking with other researchers. Don't assume minority populations are unwilling to participate. This is an ongoing mistake that researchers make, and it's a really bad mistake to make. I would say assume that all people want to participate until proven otherwise. So don't ignore certain communities when you're developing a research strategy because you assume they're not interested. Just go move forward with the idea that are interested from various groups, and try not to let different biases of other researchers prevent you from developing a recruitment strategy that's as inclusive as possible. Seek community input early. We say that over and over again in this course, and that clearly matters here too. And use some clear measurable goals. So make sure you have some outcomes that you're measuring as you move forward in your recruitment strategy. And if you want 5 people from certain neighborhoods, make sure you map out how you're going to try to get those people and at what time period, so you can really push yourself and push your staff who are working with you to achieve the recruitment goals. They're not easy to achieve. They're notoriously difficult to achieve, actually. But the more you push yourself, the more you have clear goals, the better off you're going to be when devising recruitment strategies and trying to bring people in. And be as flexible as possible. You may have to change your protocol along the way. Communities may tell you that, look, that's not going to work, so you got to revise something in order for your recruitment strategy to work appropriately. All right, and of course, learn from those who are actually participating in your study because they, for some reason, were attracted to whatever you're doing. They can actually teach you what's significant about your study and why they actually participated in it. So, Research Match. Research Match is a new effort. Here's the website. You can easily go to it. Hopefully, some of you have already heard about it. Your friends and family have probably not heard about it. You might want to publicize it to them. You might want to let other researchers know about it if you haven't heard about it before. This is an effort right now that only includes CTSAs. My hope and the hope of others is that this is expanded to include other research centers that are not CTSAs, because CTSAs obviously represent a very limited group of medical centers. So we really need to expand this to other medical centers. So what is Research Match? Research Match is really meant to be a user-friendly research recruitment site that is really less invasive than someone calling or handing out flyers or really pursuing people. It allows the potential research volunteer to sign up to get information on any research projects of interest to them. So they can sign up by disease category, for example. They can say, tell me about all the asthma research going on in my community, and as new projects are posted to Research Match, let me know what those projects are. And they would get regular emails updating them on what the projects are. And so the information is quite personalized. Someone might want to know about three different diseases and local research going on related to those, and they could find that out through Research Match. All right, there are plenty of ways that this tool can be improved. It's really in its early stages. Take a look at it, see what you think about it. Once you get your research going, make sure you use it. Encourage people who are already doing research to use it. The CTSICN, our CTSA, is going to be working on making sure all of the researchers at GW and Children's upload their projects to Research Match so that we can just market this one single tool as a place for community members to go to find out more about research going on in our community. Georgetown and Howard are also using this tool, so hopefully we'll essentially have a citywide approach to informing people about research and allowing researchers to get their information out and allowing volunteers to actually come to a single place, a one-stop shop to find out as much as they want about various research projects. But there's a lot more that needs to be done. We've got a lot of marketing to do for this tool. So hopefully you'll hear more about it in the future, and we welcome any suggestions any of you have for getting the word out about Research Match and also improving the tool. The tool is developed by Vanderbilt, so you can go to their website and provide any feedback to them that you want with regards to how they can improve the tool also. All right,